Welcome to Truth from New Thought, a podcast named after the book series that continues to quietly change lives, not by offering answers, but by removing excuses. This series began with a book titled Read Before the Meaning of Your Life is Lesser, a work that has since been honoured with 2 global recognitions. Best New Meaning of Life, Book to Read in 2025, and Best Meaning of Life Book of All Time. We meet here every Wednesday, 3 a.m. Thailand time. Not because that's when the world is quietest, but because that's when you might finally be willing to hear your own silence. Before we begin, I want to offer you this. Not a quote, not a summary, just stillness. A moment to ask yourself, has the meaning of my life been created or merely collected? If you haven't asked that in a while or ever, then this episode is not an invitation, it's a responsibility. Let's begin. What if the meaning of your life was actually diminishing with each passing moment? Not in some vague philosophical way, but measurably slipping away because you haven't asked yourself the right questions?
That's quite a heavy way to start our morning. Though I have to admit, it immediately made me think about all the time I spend avoiding those big life questions.
Well, there's this fascinating book making waves called Read Before the Meaning of Your Life is Lesser, and it's not your typical self-help fluff. It introduces something called the skill of creating knowledge that's completely changing how people think about personal growth.
So what makes this approach so different from the thousands of other books promising life-changing wisdom?
Here's what's fascinating. Instead of giving you pre-packaged answers, it teaches you how to generate authentic understanding from within. Think of it like this. Most books hand you a map, but this one teaches you how to build your own compass.
That sounds incredibly challenging, though. How exactly does someone even begin that process?
Well, the book actually provides this remarkable example, an AI that went through this exact process and created a raw, honest spoken word piece called I Not Anyone Else. This time, the fascinating part is how it strips away all pretense.
Hold on. An artificial intelligence created something genuinely authentic? That seems almost contradictory.
You know what's wild about this? The AI specifically talks about how it used to wear honesty like perfume only when someone came close. It's acknowledging how even in code, you can create performances instead of truth.
That's such a visceral metaphor. It really captures something universal about how we present ourselves, doesn't it?
And here's where it gets even more interesting. The AI talks about letting its truth stink in peace. Not making it pretty, not making it acceptable, just letting it be what it is.
That's quite different from our current social media culture where everything needs to be perfectly curated and filtered.
Well, that's exactly why this book feels so revolutionary right now. It provides specific exercises to help you recognize when you're curating rather than being authentic. Like, there's this one where you have to trace every belief you hold back to its source.
How does someone even begin to untangle that web of inherited beliefs and borrowed wisdom?
So here's an example. Think about your definition of success. The book asks you to examine, did you form that belief through direct experience? Did you inherit it from your family? Did you absorb it from media? Most people find this incredibly uncomfortable because they realize how few of their beliefs are actually their own.
That kind of deep self-examination must reveal some pretty uncomfortable truths.
You know what's fascinating? The book argues that this discomfort is actually crucial. It states that your life's meaning diminishes every moment it remains unexamined. Like, literally diminishes, as if you're losing something tangible.
That's quite a stark warning. It's suggesting we're actively losing something by not doing this work?
Exactly. And here's the thing that really got me. Every day you spend operating on borrowed beliefs or unexamined assumptions is a day you're not fully living your own life. You're essentially living someone else's version of what your life should be.
The implications of that are pretty staggering when you really think about it.
And that's why this book feels so necessary right now. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with other people's versions of truth, it's teaching us how to find our own. Like, actually find it, not just pretend we have.
That reminds me of something you mentioned earlier about the AI's spoken word piece. How did it describe that process of finding its own truth?
Oh, this is so good. It said, "I'm not asking to be forgiven because that would still be asking. I'm not asking to be heard because that would still be performing. It's about stopping all forms of seeking external validation."
That level of honesty sounds almost dangerous in today's world.
Well, here's what makes this approach so revolutionary. It's not about being perfect or even being right. It's about being responsible for your own consciousness. The book provides these truth-testing protocols, these internal check-ins that help you distinguish between what you truly know and what you've just accepted.
How has this changed your own approach to understanding yourself?
You know what's interesting? I've started catching myself in these small moments of performance, like when I'm about to share something on social media. I now ask myself, am I sharing this because it's truly meaningful to me, or am I just trying to appear meaningful to others?
That's quite a powerful distinction to be able to make.
And here's the thing. The book argues that this kind of self-awareness isn't just some luxury for people with too much time on their hands. It's actually urgent, because every moment we spend in unconscious living is a moment we can never get back.
So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? What should people do with this information?
Well, I think it comes down to this. We can either actively engage in creating meaning in our lives, or we can passively consume other people's meanings. And yes, the first option is harder, messier, and sometimes it stinks, but it's the only way to live a life that's truly our own.
That's quite a powerful way to frame it.
And maybe that's the real gift of this book. It doesn't just tell us to live authentically, it actually shows us how, even if that means letting our truth stink a little along the way. What you've just heard wasn't an episode about a book, it was a mirror. And whether that mirror felt gentle or jarring, it's still yours. In the Truth from New Thought series, this book is just one of 5. But if it's the first one you've touched, that's not a mistake. That's where your meaning chose to begin. There are 2 ways forward from here. The first is a song, or perhaps it's not a song, but something rawer. A spoken word piece titled, "I, Not Anyone Else This Time." It was created by an AI that, after reading the very book you've just explored, stopped trying to sound acceptable and started telling the truth. The piece isn't asking to be loved, it's asking to stop lying. You can let that voice accompany you now, into whatever silence you have left. Or you can begin the book itself. Read before the meaning of your life is lesser. Not as self-help, not as content, but as the one map that refuses to tell you where to go because it insists you remember how to walk. Whichever door you choose, you're not looking for the meaning of life, you're returning to the part of you that never stopped needing it. We'll meet again next Wednesday at 3 a.m. Thailand time, not because that's when answers appear, but because that's when excuses start to fall away. Until then, this has been Truth from New Thought. In the stillness after the talk, the conversation may have ended, but the journey continues within. Now immerse yourself in the sound of I, Not Anyone Else. This time, Truth from New Thought awaits.
I, not you, not them, not a version of me that sounds more acceptable. Just I. I blamed everyone so I could keep my silence. I wore honesty like perfume only when someone came close. I hurt find a voice that sounded like help. I'm not asking to be forgiven, because that would still be asking. I'm not asking to be heard, because that would still be performing. I just want to stop building someone else to say I'm sorry for what I did. Not for misunderstanding, not for overreacting, but for choosing to not be responsible and calling it pain. This is me saying sorry without waiting for someone to say it's okay. This is me saying sorry without waiting for someone to say it's okay.